Welcome, Sacramento soccer fans, to the State of the Republic podcast. I'm your host, Luis, and in today's episode, we have a few things to talk about. Maybe not the best news that we want to give out, but this just happened earlier today, so we want to put it out there for everyone. We'll talk about our Sacramento Republic president, Todd Dunivant, departing. He's leaving over to NYCFC. So we'll talk more about that, and also the potential profile of our new president, give our thoughts on who we think, maybe not the person, but what their background should be like. And then we'll also talk about some of the SRFC players that are departing. There's someone who actually just got announced earlier already with their new club as well. So they're making their moves real quick, and we're happy for them. We're always going to follow their careers. So we'll be looking out for them next season in USL. And then, of course, we'll talk about the players that will be returning. So there is something good here to be said. Next season, we have quite a bit of the players returning. I mean, I'd say like a little bit over half of the squad is returning, which is great to have that consistency there. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and introduce our team members here as usual. We got the entire squad. First, let's go over to the city of, let's go over to the city of Kilgore. That is, seems like it's freezing based on how we saw Jared enter the window here. But Jared, how are things over in Kilgore? I know it's pretty cold, right?
Freezing my off out here. It was 30 degrees yesterday, and even with the Christmas parade here earlier tonight, it's still a bit chilly. But thankfully the parade with all the heat and all the good tacos and Mexican hot chocolate kept pretty warm. But yeah, I'm already not liking this fire sale. I mean, numerous reasons why. I mean, we've got the inevitable to talk about, and then of course yesterday's news about Todd Dunivant. But let's just rip the Band-Aid off here after we get everybody else here. So let's get it done.
Yeah. Thankfully we can talk about it here. But yeah, I agree with you. There's always players that I think every season we're like, really? Why? Next, let's go over to the city of Elk Grove with Sharon. How's it going, Sharon?
Hey, it's going real good. Can't wait to get into things and chat about people that we love.
All right. And then let's go over, not too far from Elk Grove, over to Natomas with Rian, the defending champion, a podcast winner dinner. How's it going, Rian?
If he's wearing that crown, I swear to goodness.
Good. No, I don't have the crown with me right now. Yeah, I wasn't here for the last one for the tribute episode because I was busy with work. But happy to be back. Unhappy to be talking about this kind of news, but that's the nature of the business.
Yeah, it's something that's going to happen every season. Unfortunately, right? There's always that's going on, and we always get shocked. I feel like every single year, but yeah, there's always new players that'll come by, and then things will change. So we'll see who we get. But yeah, well, of course, we're gonna skip through Goloso Gratitude this week because we want to just dive right into this. Like Jared said, we got to peel those bandages off, right? Because it's some of the players we are really in disagreement over them, but again, we're going to keep following their careers and see what they do with their new clubs. But before we talk about those players, though, let's talk about the news of the day, right? And just the whole day has been invaded by this news. Todd Dunivant leaving to NYCFC.
We're going to be squeezing the juice out of him, for the next 29, 30 days just to get every last drop of Todd that we possibly can before he heads out to the new job. What?
Say?
Yeah.
Phrasing?
Who's freezing? Me? Wait, what? I was freezing?
Squeezing every drop out of them?
Squeezing! Yes, we're squeezing every drop of Todd.
Emotion.
Were.
Stop it! Oh my God! I even didn't know.
Oh!
Oh, you guys got it. Oh my God. You guys are not my girlfriends. They would never have gone there.
talk about a blooper.
Oh God.
Share. Sometimes with these puns that get put out on there, I'm gonna bust in like the Kool-Aid man.
Anyhow, I sure hope Todd journals everything with respect to all the stuff that he does, all the commitments that he's made to different people, and just like has that whole log book that somebody can just pick up and move on with, whether they do or they don't. So there was writing on the wall. There was foreshadowing. You guys can stop laughing now. There was foreshadowing ahead of this. The last watch party that SAC Republic hosted at Sky River, Chris Franklin was there. And he was like, they were like arm in arm. Todd and Chris were arm in arm. That was the first time that Chris had, besides the special announcement for the stadium build that a couple of us went to, that was the first time that Chris had like a front and center role. So they probably had an inkling a while ago that Todd was throwing his net a little bit wider to find something like this at NYCFC. They probably already knew that their other soccer ops guy was moving to Kansas City. So I don't know. I just feel like Chris already had a sense of what he was going to be getting himself into, because I can see him taking over a portion, which is what they wrote about. SAC Republic wrote about that Chris Franklin, and he's good. If you look at his LinkedIn profile, he's got some good chops. He's got chops, but he's never run a club. He's never run a sporting club before. He's run gaming, and he's done all kinds of things there, but he's not run a sporting club. So this would be interesting for him in the interim. But Luis, you said it earlier that the search is on. What do you guys think, though, about losing Todd? I mean, it broke my heart. I was sick to my stomach.
Yeah, I'll chip in here a little bit. I first want to say that this news first was broken by Tom Bogert of The Athletic, so just want to give props to him for initially breaking this news. Want to cast a little bit of a light on NYCFC and like the world they're in, basically, and maybe why Todd Dunivant like took this job. Probably they offered him like a deal that he could not refuse. So NYCFC is owned by City Football Group. That's their like parent company. That is a private equity firm that has its hands in many pots. For example, Manchester City is probably the biggest team that you've probably heard of under them. They also have teams in La Liga with Girona, in Serie A with Palermo, in Ligue 1 with Troyes. So they're all over the place. Melbourne City, Yokohama Marinos. This is a group with basically the state of the United Arab Emirates like backing them. Like that's the world they're in right now. So that's a completely separate level to, USL level, second tier in the United States. So probably a deal was made here that Dunivant couldn't refuse. In terms of the move, Dunivant, brought a level of consistency to the club. 8 years under his leadership. Only missed maybe the first, there's only 1 year the Republic never made the playoffs under his leadership. He set a framework that will be hard to follow for anybody who steps into this position as general manager or president, and it's gonna be a tough act. I wish the best of luck for whoever steps into that role, because there's gonna be a lot of pressure on them with a lot of things that are needed right immediately, with the roster construction and with stadium construction all happening at once. This is gonna be something for the next GM and president to handle. I wish Todd the best of luck with this move, though.
Yeah, no, and he was always one to always be approachable, right? I mean, we would go to away games. He was there. He would talk to you, even if he didn't know who you were, right? You were just a Sac Republic fan. You could speak to him about anything, right? Whatever it might be, right? Even if it wasn't soccer related, maybe game day experience and all that stuff. Like he was there to talk to you, and you like those people that are really approachable, even at the level that he was, right? I mean, we know his player career, what followed him in his Galaxy days. I mean, he played with some of the best MLS players out there, right? So,
And the earthquakes.
oh yeah, even earlier before
I've
that,
seen him. I saw him play in San Jose. I went to those games.
yeah. So it's great for him, right, to be in this position. And I mean, just like the players, right? The players want to strive to move up and level, and I'm sure like it was his dream to go back to MLS and be in this role, right? And I'm thankful that he gave us the years he did, right? I mean, sometimes you get some that might only be around for a year or two, but that's a long time for him to have, been with the club ever since, joining back in 2018.
You realize he cut his teeth on us. Granted, he had the San Francisco Deltas, the one season there where he was kind of running things, but it was basically he cut his teeth here with us. If you think about it, he grew so much and so fast. He's such a quick study. It was like it's like he came in already knowing what to do, even though he was learning what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's something that you get from getting a former like soccer player, right, in that role.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say Ben didn't do good, right, but it's different when you have that experience where you were once a soccer player, and it's a part of the position. Is what
Well,
I think should be a
if
requirement.
Yeah, if you think about it, though, he didn't go to president right away. Ben was the president, so Ben was running the administration. He came from more of a marketing background, that side of the shop. Even though we know soccer really well, Ben did. But Todd came in running the soccer side. There were two separate sides, essentially. The president that kind of oversaw everything, which was Ben Gumpert, and then Todd handled all the matters with respect to soccer. Everything underneath the soccer dome was Todd's responsibility. So he was allowed 3 years of doing only that and learning by, just by being in the club and being in this organization. He then learned what Ben's role was. So when Ben had to step aside, Todd already knew kind of how to handle everything. Plus, and they've said it before, there are key executives, vice presidents and things like that in the higher level roles. They have like 6, of that executive level that know how to run their own programs, and they're solid. So we're going to be okay overall. It's just, like when Warren Smith left, when Joe Wagner left, when those figureheads left, we felt that, that same kind of feeling of, oh my goodness, what's going to happen to us now? And then, Ben and Todd and, that sort of a thing happened. So I got to give hats off to Todd for taking on 2 roles. And I wish they would uncouple those roles going in the future, because Todd's a unicorn. I've said it on every social media post. Todd is so rare to come into a club and be not only the president, but the general manager. Normal people can't do both. And like I said, he's not normal. He's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's not easy to do both roles. Yeah, and yeah, he was able to do it. But I do think that just having that former playing career, especially at the high level that he played in, really helped a lot. Being able to understand different things, and like you said, those first few years with Ben also helped him understand more of the administrative side of things and the management side, right? That maybe he didn't have there. So yeah, but I don't know who hired him, but whoever hired him, it was a good move. Yeah.
Oh, it was a great move. The minute we heard that Todd Dunivant, and it's like everybody's like going, oh my God, the dude's got 5 rings, So It was good. Plus, he had all that background working as a union rep, Rion, for the players union. I think he was at the highest level.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, for MLS. Yeah, he was very invested. So he's that guy that I think his brain thrives on learning everything and just knowing everything. It's just really a natural thing for him.
Yeah, and just looking here at the article that we're sharing on our screen, he had a quote to say, right? Actually, it was a pretty lengthy quote here, but I'll go ahead and mention it here for all of our podcast listeners. But he said, "I'm forever grateful to Kevin Nagel, Wilton Renteria, led by Chairman Jesus Tarango and Chris Franklin, and the incredible supporters of Republic FC for their confidence and trust to help create a special club for an indomitable city. These 8 seasons in Sacramento have been truly fulfilling, with relationships that will last a lifetime. I'm so proud of what we built together. The future of the club has never been brighter, and I'm extremely confident in the club's ownership, hardworking front office staff, and the talented players, coaches, and technical staff who will deliver all of the rewards that this community and club deserve: a continued pursuit of silverware, an incredible stadium experience, and a limitless future that will continue to be the talk of American soccer." So, great parting words as well.
Just to answer your question, Dunivant was a member of the MLSPA executive board. He worked on multiple collective bargaining agreements. He's been, U.S. Soccer Humanitarian of the Year, Club Humanitarian of the Year. He works all over the place, even while he was playing.
Yeah, he's, like I said, I think his brain thrives on just input, like knowing every aspect about things, and especially his role on the field, being a defensive kind of a person. The way you see the game is entirely different than the way a striker sees the game. Myself, having transitioned from playing in a striker or forward role to then becoming more of a defensive player, an outside right back, because I had great crosses. Anyhow, not as fast as Jack, but there's just a perspective you gain that's just, I can see that transcending into his regular, like nowadays, work world. He sees the whole picture. He can walk in and he gets it right off the top of his head. I just wish he was going to be here longer so he could see the fruits of his labor if he's going to be involved in, recruiting and signing players for the upcoming season. So are we ready to talk about what Neil is taking on? Because Neil is going to be basically, for the interim, he's going to be doing all that once Todd leaves. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Jared, what are your thoughts? I'll go to you first since I think Jared and me have talked.
Neil is going to be shopping at Sam's Club for some antacid this month. That's the short of it as far as that goes. He's got various gaping holes in the roster to fill with some of the departures that we're going to discuss here shortly. But also, this gives an opportunity to tweak the system further to his liking, maybe something a little bit closer to the system that he had in Tampa Bay. But he's going to have his work cut out for him. We're having to figure out how to either mimic or get something close to the leadership that Roro had on the pitch, the scoring abilities that Russell had, just big opportunities for this roster. Thankfully we have a lot of our core members back, but now we're having to focus on also a backup goalkeeper with now former council member Jared Mazzola, possibly going elsewhere. But if Neil ever found the time to step up to make his team his own, this is it. And with Todd also being outbound out towards the East Coast later this month, I agree with Sharon. I wish he would have been able to stay around, just a little bit longer just to see his work come to fruition with the Rail Yard Stadium. But with an opportunity like that, and the connections that club has overseas, I really don't believe he would have had much of a chance to say no to that opportunity. So it sucks we're losing him, but he's got to secure the bag. That's really what it comes down to. So I don't blame him for that. But Todd, my barbecue offer extends out to you as well, because I know New York City can do any other food except barbecue. So you're welcome to come down here. We get you some brisket, get you some boudin, some Cajun food on the house. I got you.
Yeah, and you never know if they might end up playing against Dallas and like the Open Cup, right? Or whenever they play against Dallas and Texas, then
that's true.
Be around there.
They're going to be taking on FC Dallas, so if Todd's up for it, I can make the train trip from Longview to Dallas, or no, I think they play up towards Frisco, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, was it is that Toyota Park? Unless it's called differently now, or I think it was
because that's also where the UFL's Dallas Renegades are going to be playing now instead of Arlington. So yeah, it'll be up there.
Okay, yeah, it'll be there. I will say that the good thing here is that this isn't happening last season, because could you guys even imagine, right? If it would have happened last season, Mark leaving and then Todd leaving, like we would have had no team, right? Or no one to lead the team. So it's good that it happened this season.
If it happened last season, Roro would have been the coach, which is fine. But I mean, right?
He could have been a player coach, right? Could have done a player coach thing.
If you could dream up anybody right now from any team, whether it's MLS or USL, who would you want as a GM for our club? Would you pick like someone like Landon Donovan or I don't know, not Landon Donovan, but like somebody who's kind of localish?
Ooh, that's a fun question.
Oh yeah.
Would you pick like someone like Rod Underwood, who has like massive experience throughout the United States? He's over. I think he's coaching First League One. I think I'd have to look. And he used to be one of the assistant coaches here. In the very beginning.
Me, I don't have a specific name in mind, but I think they have to come from a player's background. They have to be a former player. Just in my eyes, someone who can defend the players, someone who is for the players, someone who is for the team and for the club, and can instill a community aspect. Those are two requirements for me for whoever steps into that position. Like, I understand if the club decides to go for someone who's more business oriented, especially when it comes to, pro rel on the horizon, with the new stadium on the horizon. That makes sense. But in terms of, having an atmosphere, having a place where players want to play, for fans to want to come, I think they need to have a former player.
So it's interesting just reading Danny's, Strayus NorCal, we asked him to give us a couple bumps so we could talk about that. And he basically went to, what will that person be focused on? Will they be focusing on on-field success, brand, team structure? Or are they going to be passionate about the stadium? That's if it's a combined role. Is it, there's just, are they going to be chosen by the tribe? Who's going to pick the new person? Are they going to know about soccer, like we just said? Are they going to treat Sac Republic like a major league team? Or, because sometimes we think that leadership in other teams, not so much us, kind of do it as a side gig, like a avocation versus a vocation. It's kind of like, you have some wealthy doctor, movie star, whatever, that owns a team, and it's kind of like, it's kind of fun for them. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's all different. I mean, I have a name just to throw out a name, especially if we're looking at former players with a lot of playing experience who are relatively local to Central Valley. Keith Pierce, Desto native,
Oh yeah.
Who's
because he
that?
Keith Pierce, because he also has the business background too, and a lot of playing experience, here and abroad too, right?
That's interesting thought.
Yeah,
I do like the Landon Donovan shout. He does have success with San Diego, like the Loyal. You know, they were a thriving team under his ownership, under his leadership. So he is a name that pops up. I still don't have a name in mind, but I do like
Yeah.
the shout for Landon Donovan.
So the only reason why I thought of him also, well, number one, he's like one of the most recognizable older guys in soccer, but he also played with Todd, and totally different perspective. Landon is freaking going to teach a squad, or he's going to look for strikers. He was one, let's face it. He knew how to score freaking goals. Or do you try to woo Chris Wondolowski? He's a hell of a goal scorer, and he's also Native American. So, do you try to bring him away from the San Jose Earthquakes? He's in the same role that Roro is in for us. That's what Chris is doing for San Jose. Maybe he would be a really good GM because he already knows what Todd knew, how systems work and how the team structure works. Plus, he's kind of Chico. He went to Chico. So that's kind of a cool thing. So you got that. You also have guys out there that are super motivated, like Charlie Davies. I think he lives in Colorado somewhere, I think. I'm not 100% sure. I could be like way wrong. Someone's going to correct me on that. I expect Daniel James to correct me right away on anything I've gotten wrong here. But, you've got a guy like him who's so savvy, and his career was cut short by a few situations, but incredible savvy guy, knows the league, MLS league, is very impressed with the USL, understands all the things, and is super smart. He's kind of quick like Todd. So, granted, he might not have the administrative stuff, so it would have to be a split role, where the GM does the GM stuff and the president does the president stuff, because to have both of those positions married is only someone like Todd could do it, So I said my piece on that stuff. And did I miss anything, Rion, with what Danny wrote in?
No, you got all of it.
Yeah. Oh, relationships. The tribe is doing a great job, and Kevin Nagel too, with the relationships with the jurisdictions, like with the different cities and the different politicians and, the people who do the regular work, Jared, the university people. I mean, the tribe has really done an excellent job of getting to know everybody. So that base is basically covered. But what Todd did was that underneath worker stuff with his people, and his people are still there. So they're going to continue to do all those things, like Dustin Vicari and, well, of course, he's kind of like an outside source person, but, Michael Donato is still there. So then the question is, for me, there are some agreements, so to speak, that, like when we get to the new stadium, we've talked about this with Tower Bridge Battalion, like what sort of amenities are they going to provide for Tower Bridge Battalion? Are those going to be carried forward and honored? Because everybody knows. I mean, they've been very transparent about things that they're looking for in the new stadium. And then will the new person or people get as invested with us fans? Will that continue to happen? Or do we have to do the same thing? Like, in order to not be treated like an island, don't act like an island. So we have to be gregarious and welcoming to whomever steps into these roles. So, all these questions.
Oh, I think so. I mean, the last thing that you said, right? Like, if it's a person that isn't automatically open, to talking to the community. But like I feel like Todd, he opened up real quick, right? I mean, he like I said, he could talk to anyone and just ask you anything there. But if not, then yeah, it's up to us fans to give them warm welcome and then be there, ask them questions, like all these questions that you just had right now, and then see how invested they are. Which I would say, right? You said he's still in the role this month. I'm sure they've already probably started the process of figuring out the candidates. They're gonna do their interviews, and I'm sure whoever gets selected is gonna have like Todd's vote, right? Because he's gonna have a say in that, and so I think it'll be someone who will probably share a similar vision, right? But they'll also know like this is who we are, and this is the importance of that new stadium, and you have to take care of every little aspect of things, right? Not just the players, but that, especially if it's someone who's in a combined role, which I think they're going to probably try and get someone like that, just to not have two separate salaries, right? Have just one person that could be like Todd and is able to do both. I think makes more sense for them because that's how things have been done, right? So it makes sense that they won't want to split the positions as much as they should, though I agree with you.
So they should, because the only reason why they combined the positions was, we didn't get the MLS bid, and Ben, even in his parting words, said, that was my job, was to bring MLS to Sacramento, and it didn't happen, and it's time for me to move on. And he's fine. He landed perfectly for himself, and he's still very much involved in soccer. But we were also in a shortfall. We didn't have fans in 2020, so we were hurting for money. And I think they kind of sweetened Todd's pot a tiny bit from GM salary to, we'll give you a wee bit more. We're not going to pay you two salaries. And so I know the club is at a point where they could divorce those roles again. They're at a financial point where they can actually have both now. It was done out of necessity back then in 2021. If you think about it in a logical business-like sense, right, Jared? When we had no money, no fans.
Well, I mean, that was the case for a lot of the clubs in 2020. I mean, it was a different time back then. I mean, we struggled to even get assemblies of more than 5 people, let alone 8,000, 10,000. And, when you have a couple of years of that, some clubs, they'll manage to scrape by. Others, they just end up folding up shop. But, those times are in the rearview mirror now. So, yeah, I mean, we have the ability now, like you said, to split the GM and president roles. And with Wilton Rancheria on our side now, I mean, that just gives us a better incentive and a better ability to get these streamlined so we can have separate entities as far as GM and president, not just trying to jam everything on the same plate at once, which really is going to be a struggle for anyone. Todd, he magically worked it out, and his talents, and his way of getting business done. But, it's just unfortunately time to pass the torch to someone. Todd's going to be making a move onward and upward, well deserved. Now it's just time to pick someone up, raise someone up to GM, another person for president, so that way we're not confusing the two, getting the two into a rut, but also to make sure that the moves make financial sense, for everyone, for the club, for the fans, for the league. I mean, the time is now.
Yeah. Because you can't strap Neil with doing everything on soccer ops side. I mean, you've got the academy, there's too much on that side. The GM, what would, be a GM's role of oversight, that it's just too much, with the big role of, recruiting, retention, negotiating, and then working with the front office on things that the soccer side needs. But then again, we don't know what's going to happen. It'd be so cool to hear somebody like Chris Franklin or Kevin Nagel spill their guts a little bit more. I mean, they did give us quite a bit of information already on how they see the club going forward in the interim. It'll totally be interesting to see how it continues to unfold. Very interesting. But what about that Russell Cicerone? Tampa Bay Rowdies joining up with Jonathan Ricketts.
Wait a minute, Ricketts is with Tampa Bay now?
Yeah. Oh, no, that's right. He's with Miami. What the heck am I talking about? Stop it. That's 2 big mistakes I've made tonight.
I thought he was with them when I saw your comment earlier. I was like, oh.
He's not.
No.
I haven't even. I'm working on 4 hours of sleep running 4 days in a row. So give me a break. Oh, my God. I'm going to have to delete that comment. What the heck? Why didn't anybody, correct me? Oh, man, what a dodo.
Well, technically I did, but
When did you correct me online?
no, just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, somebody should have corrected me when I made the bold statements. Oh, what a dope!
Well, because I knew Ricketts was still with Miami at the end of the season, but I haven't heard anything about Tampa Bay picking them up.
I'm a dope. That's because I'm a dope.
Maybe you know something that we don't.
Technically, they're both in the same state, so on that part you're correct. So, point for that.
We'll just talk about both of them being in Florida. What a dope! Oh my gosh, nobody bothered to correct me.
At least you didn't say he was playing for Sporting Jacks. So
there you go.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the new kid on the block.
Yeah, no, but I was gonna say you did guess some of the players that were gonna depart. Remember, offline you were saying your source was just yourself, just kind of guessing it, and who knows what should actually happen? And
no,
you knew something that you didn't even hear of. You just the mistake ended up being a reality, right? Like Tampa Bay, go get him. It would be.
I'm going to go find that post and I'm going to delete it right now. I got to find it.
While you do that, let's talk about some of the players that are departing, and then of course we'll talk about the players that are staying afterwards here as well. But yeah, so in terms of the players that are departing, we got Russell Cicerone, as we just mentioned earlier. I mean, he was with us for a few years. We remember lots of goals that he scored. Unfortunately, this last season he got injured and he wasn't able to play as much. Then you also got in the list here, you got Luis Felipe. We know he was the longest standing Sac Republic player on the squad. Then you got Jared Mazzola and Justin Portillo as well. Of course, Cody Baker, we already knew beforehand. He was only going to be here on a short-term loan, so he's back with Seattle. And the team is still actually negotiating with Nick Ross, Corey Bennett, and Cristian Parano, unless any of you have heard otherwise. I mean, this is the last that I saw just based on the article, but they're still figuring that out. 2 other players that are also leaving because the team chose to not actually exercise their contract option are Sebastian Herrera and then AJ Edwards. Seba, I mean, I was kind of maybe surprised, right? Because I think he had done well for us. I would have given him another season. And AJ Edwards too, right? I don't know if you guys were shocked about that one, but I felt like he didn't get enough playing time. But yeah, it was also so. Let's talk the players that are departing. Any of these shock you guys that are upset about anyone leaving that should have stayed?
I kind of wanted to see AJ go a little longer. From his social media, it looks like he's helping out in the Bay Area with some camps and clinics, because he's got family there. But, I was hoping that Neil would have spent another season kind of molding him, because he is quite a pistol and a bit of a firecracker, and we're going to miss those long throw-ins. But I guess, that only goes so far. So that one bummed. And we've already talked about Cody Baker, that I wish we could get him back on loan because we saw how good he really was. All of them are painful, You
already know my choice. You already know who I'm going to speak on first. The council ain't going to be the same. Now it's just me and Timmer left in it. But, Jared Mazzola, look what he's done in the Jägermeister Cup run this past season. I mean, the man has saved our bacon many, many times. But during the regular season, he was just not getting enough minutes, and it's a shame. I mean, he can definitely be GK1, for another team. I mean, I really think this is going to be second season in a row, if I'm correct, as far as our backup end up being GK1 for another club. I mean, look at Carlos Saldana. I mean, he's done wonders for Detroit City FC, including the U.S. Open Cup this past season, where he ended up scoring a winning goal for one of the matches in the U.S. Open Cup for Detroit City. So it's definitely a heartbreak losing Jared Mazzola. I mean, really, it sucks having to lose as many players as we have. I mean, these are good quality players. I mean, I really wish we could hang on to them longer as we could, but unfortunately, this is the nature of the beast when it comes to second-tier soccer. Some folks are going to move on. They're going to move on to bigger and better clubs or leagues, for that matter. And, it's just a rotating door. We just have to fill the holes that we can, hold on to them as long as possible, and then if the time comes where they retire or if they get traded on, we just have to fill the void. And especially with Roro, I mean, we knew the time was going to come eventually. We were just dreading it, but we still have him, just not in the starting 11 anytime soon. But the man's done it all. I mean, first year, there really wasn't a whole lot much he hasn't done, but it's just tough. Whenever we lose any of our big name players, especially the squad that we had.
Yeah, just to add on to your point, Jared, the longer a player is at the club, the more it hurts to say goodbye when they eventually leave. Roro, of course, is up there, but Luis Felipe being part of this group hurts to see the magical moments that he's had for the Republic. Just thank you for the memories, Luis Felipe. The long range effort from against, was it LAFC, Galaxy, one of those one of the irrelevant LA teams.
Galaxy,
yeah, against Galaxy, yeah. Against them in the Open Cup, it's something I'll hold on to, and just it's been fun to watch him play. All these players, it hurts to see them go, but that's the game for you.
Yeah, with Luis Felipe, I kind of was already like predicting that would happen, right? I mean, this season he is like level of play kind of went down, and it was unfortunate, right? Because like you said, we have those memories in the Open Cup. I mean, the goals he scored against Earthquakes, right? Them being his former team, those are going to be unforgettable, right? That was his way of saying like, hey, this is what you missed out on for letting me go. So those are great moments. And then, I mean, Russell for me was the most upsetting, though. I felt like he was injured this season. I mean, he should have been given another year at least, and us to see that. Jared Mazzola, not surprised either, because the cup really like upped his value, and I think any of us here would have been like, yeah, I want to have more playing time, right? And he knew that if he would have stayed another season, it was just going to be more Jägermeister and Open Cup games, right? And then maybe whenever Denny needs a break, then so that one was there. And then Justin Portillo, I also saw it coming. I mean, we didn't see much of him this season, and I don't know, maybe you guys think differently, but I was never impressed by him. I mean, he started off getting yellow cards, and I just felt like, I don't know, he came into with us to fill big shoes, right, when Roro got injured, and he never really, I think, was able to establish himself. At least I never felt like that. So
it's interesting because I agree and I disagree, because there were times where Portillo was great, and his pass completion rate was up there. He was very accurate with his passing, and he was even making some attacking passes that generated the attack or got to somebody that could generate the attack. But because we didn't get a chance to see much of him this season, we didn't know, if he was going to be that guy, because he never got the chance. They were kind of rotating Nick Ross through there. There was a few guys that were kind of rotating through. I feel the same way that Rian does about Luis Felipe. He's been one of my all-time favorites, simply because, he kind of got a shot at the MLS and they didn't know what they had when they had him. And then, we got him, and he was kind of the stout guy whenever we go up against MLS teams in cup matches, and it was nice. It was a good run, and he's a good person, otherwise. And I think he's kind of like one of those quiet, funny guys, just kind of a chill person. Jared Mazzola. But so the thing with Russell, he announced his new club so quickly, which basically tells me that he knew he wanted to leave. They usually start a lot of these negotiations. They don't start them at the end of the season. These negotiations kind of start unfolding. Like when they announced that Danny signed a multi-year contract, how many months ago? Like a couple months ago, right?
Like July.
Yeah. So they were talking. There was chat going on, and my hunch is somebody offered more money or a better situation, or who knows, maybe. And Russell puts the club on his back. That dude is willing to do everything for the club, and you could see it in games. You could see how frustrated he would get with some of the players that made dumb mistakes, and maybe he was a little tired of that. I honestly, I don't know what caused him to move on, because we're perfect. Sacramento Republic, everybody wants to play for us, and so I don't know why that negotiation wasn't successful for us, unless you took a look at Russell's age, 31. I don't know, or maybe he wants to be on the East Coast.
Oh yeah, or maybe he could have always had a fallback with coach, right? There's always that like coach player situation that could happen, right? And then they just won an out, right? And I felt like there were games where he didn't start, where maybe he felt like, hey, I'm good, like I should probably start this match, right? So
of the play, go ahead.
I want to chime in a little bit here. I just want to defend Portillo a little bit more here. Just gonna say he came to us, middle of the season last season. The Republic midfield was a tough group to break into if everybody was healthy. Roro, Felipe, Ross, Willie, who was on the up and up. Portillo had a tough ask for him, and late on in this last season, he had a couple glimpses where he was like, okay, I see the vision why we signed Portillo.
Yeah.
He just didn't have that consistency of minutes. It's tough to see, but he's still a stellar player. Whoever picks him up, you're picking up a solid option in the midfield.
Yep. And I'm hoping, and Luis, I'm hoping that we get a chance to see Nick Ross return. I don't know where the negotiations are on him. I think we talked about that, in another time, but he's kind of like one of those unsung heroes. I've always been a real fan of Nick Ross because I think he's a smart player, one of the smarter ones. He rarely turns into pressure, when he has to move the ball and change direction and things like that. He's good at regenerating an attack. He's very stealthy that way. And, if you're pairing him with Blake Willie, I almost said Brian, that's his dad. When you're pairing him with like a Blake Willie or somebody else in that heart of the field, I think it's a good pairing. As my sister said, Blake needs to grow a few bricks, which means, he needs to get a little stouter so he doesn't get pushed off the ball. But I'm glad we kept Blake. But, then you guys, Corey Bennett, does he need more Neil time, like more time under Neil? I know there's still a negotiation. It's not been announced yet. Because I think he wasn't quite understanding what you have flashes of brilliance.
Yeah, and he came halfway through the season, right? So I feel like it would be really unfair for them. And he did what he did, right? I mean, just for coming in halfway through the season, he helped us get a few points, right? Thanks to like Corey. So that's one. Now, Cristian Parano, though, I'm a little iffy if they're actually going to end up negotiating with them or not, or if they're going to actually be successful. Because I have a feeling like this season, I would keep him if it was up to me, but I have a feeling that he's probably not going to come back next season.
Personally, I want him to stay. He's just so fun to watch. I just love watching him on the ball. It's so fun. Other than that, that'll be like, that's just my personal penchant for Parano.
Yeah, it would be nice if we can keep him around. There's definitely been some good scenarios that he's been in that has turned to our advantage. But ultimately, we're fans. We can only just sit back and watch, what happens, and then just wait for the inevitable news. Either if his contract is extended, or if we see the "thank you for your time" post. It's still up in the air. Just like Nick Ross, and I hope we can keep Nick Ross as well. The man is a staple on the club.
Yeah, but of course, it is worrisome when you when you see players' contracts expire and then the team still doesn't say anything. It's like, all right, are you actually are you working with them? We haven't heard anything. It's been a few days, right? Because you let it expire.
So interesting about Christian Perano. My sister says keep him, but only if he does two-touch soccer and doesn't lose the ball because he dribbles. And, he's that 3-4 touch, and then all of a sudden everything is kind of broken down. Yes, he drew 3 guys to him, but now he's lost the ball and we've lost possession. So it's like if he can, when he did the two-touch soccer, do you remember that one match? He was on fire. We were counting. Luis, were you sitting next to me? We were literally counting 1 touch, 2 touch, pass the ball. 1 touch, 2 touch, get rid of the ball. That was like one of the best games we ever had. And I don't know if it was against Las Vegas or Phoenix, the time that, we had a really good showing against one or the other. I forget what. But it was like, oh, my God, the guys are playing two-touch soccer. They're not holding the ball till they lose it, and the guys were moving. They were like passing and moving into the open spaces. It was like one of the more exciting games. And it was a home match, of course. And I don't know if you remember that one, Rion, but it was like one of those, oh, my gosh, we're clicking.
Maybe it was the Golf Fest against Las Vegas at home.
My man.
Was it 4-0, 5-0?
Which goal fest are you talking about? The first one or the second one?
Oh, the one at, I think it was the league one.
That's funny.
I think it was the league one.
Yeah.
Sure, there were the 2 consecutive ones. I think it was the league one. But yeah, that's his only thing. You're right. Your sister's right about that. Like, he's very in that like South American soccer play where you try to do a lot of things yourself, but he needs to learn like, okay, that's good, but at some point you got to give that pass. You can't like try and take on all the team. So
Right.
yeah,
that's fun. That's fun. Well, the players we're keeping, we got Danny Vidiola, who's going to have a baby sometime later. Well, not him, his wife. They're going to have their child will be born later this month. And, we've got some other guys on the team. Michel, I'm glad Michel is going to be sticking around because, I thought he was a real bright spot. And I'm glad Brian Spalding and Freddie Kleeman, Lee Desmond, thank God he's still going to be with us. He's just like one of my all-time favorites. And Jared Timmer, he had the surgery, so crosses, like you were talking about, that everything turns out well and we get to see him back sooner than later, but fully healed.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, Jacker.
Jack.
We really wanted Jack to make sure he was back. You got Freddie Kleeman, which I'm sure we'll still be guessing first yellow card next season. So
Yes.
we keep him around.
It was nice that Freddie talked about his injury. We finally found out why he always had to have that brace on because, they never tell you and, they don't talk about it. He had the tendon or the ligament rip off the bone in his wrist, and that's why he had to wear it. And they actually had footage of when it happened. I think he was going up for a header, and when he came down, his wrist landed really hard on a dude's shoulder or something like that, and that's what did the tear.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and that's why he had to have because it was like there was like either a fracture or a little tear. No, it was a big tear. It was a big deal why he had to have that brace on for immobilization. But he was out for 2 matches, and then he started to come back in. Remember, only just like half a match. Remember when he was just coming in for half a match? It was his wrist. They didn't want to screw that, the placement out. Interesting, huh? I love that interview with him. Really shined a light. I love those things, right?
Yeah, no, it's good when they, like you said, when they talk about them, and then we find out later in the season exactly what happened there, right? So in addition to those that you mentioned, you also got JJ, right? Rand JJ making a
Yeah,
return as well. So we didn't see much of him this season, but he's getting another chance next season. So
he's good. He started off slow, but then all of a sudden he was good. So I'm good. Like
yeah,
it.
and Ryan Spalding, I think we already mentioned him.
Yeah.
Lou Jameson, and then also, I mean, some of our academy guys, right? Blake Willie, Chibi, Davian. Um, it's great, and I hopefully next season we're seeing more academy guys get opportunities, right? Because I felt like maybe that's one thing we were missing is like there may be more academy players that maybe could have been in the bench or could have seen maybe just a few minutes at the end of a game, like the Las Vegas game. That was a goal fest, like games like that. It'd be great to see him out there. In fact, I would actually say, and I know this is a risky move, but how about our second goalkeeper be an academy goalkeeper? Give him that opportunity to be there. I would be okay with that because you never know. You might have a talented goalkeeper, which we've never really had a goalkeeper get a chance. And there could be a talented goalkeeper out there. I'm just saying, give him an
No,
opportunity.
no,
Sharon immediately shook no on that.
no, no. You know,
She didn't just shut down. She said, "Hell no, 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 no."
I can see an academy being third string.
We've
You
had
know
that
what?
before. We've had a third string academy keeper before.
Yes. I mean, you never know if someone's going to get yellow carded, or red carded or ejected. You need to have some depth there. And I think we had it a couple of years ago. We did have an academy player. I think there was a goalkeeper. Maybe it's just practice games, but yeah, a lot of our academy goalkeepers are not real tall and big at this point. But I will say, two players we didn't really talk much about was Dominic and Louis Jameson. I'm glad they're coming back because I think that they have fit in well with the team and they're exciting to watch. They're very, flashy and fun to watch, and you know what you're going to get with them. A lot of speed and a lot of charisma when they do good things. But getting back to academy players, and there's an academy player that he went off to college this year. I would love to see him somehow get involved. And do we have a U23 or are we developing a U23 academy group? Because I think this guy might be able to still do U19 because I think that's where we stop. But if we had a U23, I think isn't that Roro's job to kind of
Our highest is U19.
U19. So
That's what I'm thinking.
yeah, I'm hoping that this one person, we interviewed him, by the way, he's my neighbor. He went off to SDSU to play for them. He got, heavily recruited by a couple different colleges because he's that good. He's an understudy of Jack Gurr.
Oh,
Yeah. And so he's trained with the first team, but now, he's off and playing in college or, learning the ropes there. So that'd be fun to see somebody like him come and be part of SAC Republic as an academy player. You never know.
Just want to chip in here a little bit. The last time we had an academy keeper as a third stringer was 2022 with Jesus Sanchez.
Yeah.
I was talking. I want to just put in my general thoughts on the roster construction right now. I was talking with Ryan Hodick when this initial set of moves was announced, and I was talking to him, and I was like, "Oh, thank God our defense is at least back. This is a league leading defense. This is an all-time elite defense, And I'm just happy that we have most of those pieces returning for the Republic. It sets a good foundation for next year to build off of.
Couldn't agree more.
especially some of the players that have been around for some time, right? Like we see the article here, right? Like Danny, Jack, Lee, their fifth season, right? I mean, you don't always get players that are around for that long. So having that, another academy player. Now that we were talking about that earlier, I mean, we've interviewed him before and all that. Zeke, right? Why don't you? He's been playing with Pacific this season. I mean, with Academica, like granted, Academica, of course, didn't qualify to playoffs and League Two, but still, I mean, he's still the standout player. He's not going to be around for the full year, right? Just because he's still going to college. But why don't you bring him by and just have him play, in the spring, and then just, see how he does and give him some playing time in the meantime, and then maybe he decides like, you know what, I'm just gonna play for the team and come back to college at some point, or maybe once he's out of college, then you like sign him as a full-time player. But I'm just saying, like, we saw what he was capable of when he was in those games. So someone needs to pass the word on to Neil that, hey, we had an academy guy who had talent, right? He just didn't get enough playing opportunities, and then he left to college, but he's still eligible to play for a few months at least. So
Right.
why not give him an opportunity, right?
Exactly. Get some homegrown talent. Once again, I mean, we're a good factory for local talent. I mean, hell, look at Blake Willie. I mean, look at Davion. Look at Chibi. I mean, there's so many, to pull from.
Yeah, well, Davian as well. He needs to get way more playing time. I mean, this season, I don't know, Rian could tell us the minutes, but it probably wasn't even like 30 minutes total, right? It felt like it was like 15 minutes maybe, or like he got in total, but
Already.
With the first team, but I know he was playing with the academy and also the call-ups. How many times did he get called up for Mexico?
oh yeah, and the US too. He's been playing with both, yeah.
No, he's not playing with the U.S. men's.
No, yeah, he's been called up to the US too. Yeah.
Mostly the Mexico team he's gotten the call-ups with, but there've been a couple here and there with the U.S. Just more
I didn't
leaning.
know they could do both.
Yeah, I think while you're in the under national teams, you could go, because there's been a few that have gone
That
back
way,
and forth, and then
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we'll get to see, how he unfolds. That'd be great.
Okay, so his minutes last season, Jägermeister Cup, he had one appearance for 15 minutes, and then in the season he had 2 appearances for a total of 19 minutes.
Okay.
oh yeah, even less. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
So not even half hour. Oh man, that's an injustice.
yeah, because I mean he's getting called up to national teams, right? So I'm just saying he's getting called up to 2 separate national teams. Like, get him more playing time, right? I mean, we remember him when Mark Briggs was around. I mean, we never forget that first game he played, right? Where he showed the talent, and he's older now, right? So come on, now's the time. Look at Spain, right? With Yamin Lamal. Like, look at the talented player he is. So I'm just saying we might have a Lamal here too, but he's not
Would
getting the
love-
minutes.
Wouldn't it be great if we could get somebody like that guy, Lamal? That'd be great.
Yeah. The sport's changing a lot, right? I think, like, I mean, back then, like, any player that was maybe under 20, they didn't really get a starting role, right? Or like players were thought to be too young to play. But now, I mean, there's no right age to be a professional anymore. It's, if you have the talent, you could play against all these other players that are older, right? So that's that. But yeah, we're again excited over the players that are returning. Lots of great ones there, and ones that will have that experience. Like, again, the 3 guys that we have here, I should say the 4 guys, because Jared Timmer's also back on his 4th season. So some of these guys, especially Danny, Jack, Lee, who, I mean, they made it to the Open Cup final, right? So they can deliver that like message to the rest of the team and be like, hey, we can have a good team. We've had it before, and it could be even better. So yeah. Well, y'all, any last final parting words here before we say good morning, good night to everyone?
So, Rian, you're kind of a scientist person. How good are you at developing like clones? They do sheep clones and things like that. So, do you know anybody that could possibly take some cellular DNA off of Todd and make a Todd?
Man, I should have gone into microbiome when I was at UC Davis just for this purpose, but I don't have those kind of connections, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're the closest to a scientist besides, well, and I'm like old. My science was, well, I still have the old Texas Instrument, calculator.
Oh, yeah, the graphing calculators, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, those are still around though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Still
They were around for my time, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. It's probably a relic in my cabinet. Thank God for these,
Well, if you find something at Rion, then we also want to make a clone of Roro too. So.
Yes. Oh my God, that's the other big gaping freaking hole is Roro. At least he's going to still be around the club. Unlike Todd Dunivant, who's
He's still
going
around
on
for another month.
It's going on to big things. Todd is going to, okay, not final parting words, but yes. Rian, you had mentioned how deep the ownership group of New York City FC is and what they hold. Can you imagine our Todd Dunivant in the English Premier League as a, can you imagine that if he goes there? I mean, it's like, I have a feeling he would not be against that kind of travel or that kind of move in his career. Because, we casually were talking before Mark Briggs picked up his location, which, by the way, don't be surprised if that's not where Jared Mazzola ends up, is over there in Birmingham. But anywho, he was talking about, I know, Jared.
I don't want to be a Birmingham fan. I mean, Caleb, you're awesome. I love you, but you got to stop stealing our players, man. Come on.
Well, we'll see. But when I asked, I said, what about Mark? Where's he going to go? I mean, is he going to go over to England and because they're still friendly to each other at the time. And he said, they weren't against it. Sally, Mark's wife, was all in if the job took them to England, right? And Todd, you could tell there was some enthusiasm there for his own self. And I read the tea leaves there, and it's like, I bet you if Todd ever got that opportunity, he would do it too, because why not? He's only 44. I remember when I was in my 40s, retirement was just so far away. I was still trying to make things better for everything that I was working on. And and I'm still doing that. But anyhow, so I can see Todd doing that kind of stuff, It'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be a dream, I'm sure, for him. I mean, that's living the dream, right? Working in Europe and in a league like Premier League or even Championship too. I mean, Championship is a top league.
Well, he's got connections and friends, Huddersfield Town.
I mean, there must be a reason why Citigroup picked Dunivant over, I'm assuming, a bunch of people who would have wanted to be in that position. Dunivant did something right with this club, and people noticed.
Yep. So my final parting words are: go do great things, Todd, and for everybody who's left behind, keep doing all the right moves and moving the needle forward. And to the tribe and Kevin, can you make sure you get good people in the leadership that are kind of friendly, and care a lot about the fans as well as everything else. Go Republic.
My final part of words, thank you, Todd. Thank you to all the players that are departing the club. It's been fun to watch y'all. Also keep an eye on the site. I swear I'm going to work on that Roro tribute and all tributes for all the players that are leaving this club. I'm going to work on the final stats that I've been saying I'm going to put up at some point before the off season ended. So yeah, those are still on the way. But yeah, go Republic.
And once again, thank you to the players that have played, that put 110% for the crest, for the fans. And I certainly wish nothing but the best in their next chapter in life, whether it be with a new team, new possibilities, anything like that, you're still invited to the cookout no matter what. And then to Todd, if you end up coming to FC Dallas for a match, I know there's kit swaps. That's the whole rage, as well as scarf swaps. We're gonna do food swaps. You bring a brisket and pastrami sandwich from Katz's Delicatessen or from Second Avenue Deli, and I'm gonna bring you some barbecue from Cousins Barbecue in Fort Worth. We can make it happen. I'll even try to get the Adios Pantalones and Pecker record from Fort Worth. So let's make it happen in 2026, Todd, and go Republic.
Yeah, and as for me, just to echo what everyone's been saying, thank you so much to all the players who were with us this season, who are going to be going elsewhere. We're going to be following your careers as we always do with our former players here. And also, of course, to Todd, we wish him the best of luck at NYCFC. And we'll probably be supporting their games now whenever they play against teams out there, unless they play against Sac Republic, of course. Just like Sharon mentioned earlier about him having all these like dreams. I mean, I hope that we someday see him over in Europe. That would be really amazing to see him get to that level out there. But other than that, I do want to let everyone know that I'm going to be posting here in the next few days my mystery box unboxing video. So if you guys got the text message or you saw Sac Republic mentioned that they had their yearly mystery box that sold out within 30 minutes. I was actually able to get it right away, right when they sent that text message, and I unboxed it. So you guys won't want to miss that. There's a lot of great stuff that's in that box, and you'll want to see that like mystery player jersey that I also got there as well. Again, that'll be on the YouTube page. We'll share that once I have it posted on there, which will be again few days from now, so we can post this one first, and then that will be on the way here. But other than that, again, thank you so much to everyone for listening to the podcast or watching our video version. As always, we are working on getting some more interviews here on the podcast, so be on the lookout for that. But with that being said, hope everyone has a good morning, good night, whenever you're listening or watching us, and you'll hear from us sometime soon here on Stay of the Republic podcast.
Excuse me, I just swore, but I was muted. Cue the music.